SpaceX botched launch raises environmental concerns. What happened and what's next? SpaceX has achieved remarkable advances in space exploration, including many successful missions to the International Space Station. Their most recent rollout, however, was not without criticism. Unfortunately, the rocket had a technical breakdown during its ascent in April 20, resulting in a massive explosion. Such shortcomings even prompted new legal challenges, calling into question their ability to remain successful in the realm of space exploration. Given the setback, can they attempt another launch anytime soon? While you speculate, what if I tell you that the issue at hand is more than just a tactical one, but one that stinks and strikes a chord for the environment? Would that change your answer? Take a deep breath and brace yourself as we go over the latest in this issue. Welcome to Stock Genius, where investing in generating and deepening knowledge is the norm. If you're new to the channel, hit like and subscribe for more content like this. The tallest and most potent rocket ever built, SpaceX Starship stands at 394 feet, or 120 meters tall, and generates a record-breaking 16.5 million pounds, or 7.5 million kilograms of thrust. Starship was created to take passengers, spacecraft, satellites, and fly to sites around the solar system, and has a payload capacity 10 times greater than SpaceX's existing Falcon 9 rockets. Last April 20, the Starship seated atop its massive 33-engine Super Heavy launcher blasted away from the launch pad with such force that it only left a smoking crater and a vast cloud of pulverized debris in its wake. The rocket was only in the air for a short time before it crashed due to several early engine shutdowns and the failure to separate the first stage booster. This triggered Starship's autonomous flight termination system, which smashed and tossed its fragments into the lands and oceans after a delay of roughly 40 seconds, which was longer than expected. The Boca Chica test facility's launch region sustained significant damage from the launch, including the creation of a sizable crater beneath the orbital launch platform. Damage from the launch was seen as far away as Port Isabel, Texas, which is a town about 6 miles or 10 kilometers from the rocket's launch pad, where the neighborhood suffered from shattered glasses, smashed windows, ashes, and what looks to be sand covering their homes and schools. Hold on, there's more. Apart from homes, the launch reported sparked a fire in the state park lands and scattering debris ranging from ashes, metals, and concrete over habitats of endangered animals. About 48 after launch, Fish and Wildlife Service (FWS) authorities conducted a thorough assessment of the region surrounding SpaceX Starbase facility. They examined the aftermath of the fire as part of this inspection. Findings indicated that a nearby wildlife preserve of roughly 3.5 acres had burned. Impacts from the launch include numerous large concrete chunks, stainless steel sheets, metal and other objects hurled thousands of feet away, along with a plum cloud of pulverized concrete that deposited material to 6.5 miles northwest of pad site, statement reports. Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, downplayed the degree of the launchpad damage in post-launch remarks, claiming that he didn't expect the launch to completely demolish the pad. Musk and his team have praised the test as a success that allowed engineers to gather crucial data for the upcoming flight despite the rocket's surprisingly botched takeoff and burning destruction. Still, as a response, SpaceX's remedy to the problem is the installation of a water-cooled steel plate system. The plan had been considered prior to the April trip, but it was dropped to avoid delays. 4 days prior to tests on April 16, Musk downplayed hopes by saying that if any rocket's engines malfunction It's like having a box of grenades, really big grenades. Should something go wrong, SpaceX may repeat attempts, something normal that his previous Falcon efforts recovery process in order to fully recover go through. He stated specifically, for those that have followed the history of Falcon 9 and Falcon 1 actually, and our attempts at reusability, I think it might have been close to 20 attempts before we actually recovered the stage, and then it took many more flights before we had reusability that was meaningful, where we didn't have to rebuild the whole rocket. Promising perseverance he has, after the launch, Elon estimated that the damage will be repaired in as little as 2 months, and that 4 or 5 Starship launches were still planned for this year. But before engaging in these pursuits, the corporation must first face off against Federal Aviation Administration and environmental organizations. Following a technical failure during a recent SpaceX rocket launch, the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, has temporarily grounded the vehicle. The FAA will conduct a mishap investigation to ascertain the incident's underlying cause and identify the corrective measures that SpaceX must take to prevent reoccurrences, since this is a regular procedure designed to protect public safety. Before the Starship can consume flying, the FAA must be satisfied that any issues related to mishap do not pose a risk to public safety. Depending on the intricacy of the occurrence, the FAA's accident investigation process often takes several weeks to several months. If SpaceX's proposed experimental launchpad protection system, which employs a water-cooled steel plate, is rejected by the FAA, the firm will have to ask the Army Corps of Engineers for permission to build a more conventional flame trench to lessen damage. Eric Gruech, a specialist in this risk assessment and environmental compliance, who has been monitoring the situation at Starbase in Texas, cautions that this procedure may take up to 3 years. The stakes are high for SpaceX, since it must overcome these regulatory obstacles in order to resume its space exploration activities. The FAA's Anomaly Response Plan has also taken effect as debris spread much farther than planned, which means SpaceX must finish more environmental mitigation before reapplying for its launch license. Now, a lawsuit has been filed just on the first day of May. In Washington, D.C., a federal court just received a lawsuit by plaintiffs who contend the Starship spread debris and ash over a wide region during its April 20 launch. The lawsuit demands the FAA suspend Starship's launch permit until an extensive environmental review, which might take years, has been completed. The plaintiffs are planning to compel SpaceX to comply with environmental law on the grounds that the debris and ash from the launch may have adverse impacts on the environment and public health. The FAA will be in charge of assessing the lawsuits, claims, and choosing the best course of action to guarantee public safety and environmental preservation. The Center of Biological Diversity, the American Bird Conservancy, and the Carrizo-Concredo Nation of Texas are among the plaintiffs, and they allege in the filing that the FAA failed to take the requisite hard look at significant environmental effects of the project, including contributions to climate change, the impacts of beach closures in the community, the potential for highly destructive wildfires, and the impacts to wildlife from increased traffic lighting and the noise and heat associated with rocket launches. The SpaceX Starbase facility is located in a previous undeveloped region, surrounded by Nation Wildlife Refuge Lodge and beaches that provide a habitat for endangered birds and sea turtles, including the Kemp's Ridley, the most endangered sea turtle on Earth. The FAA collaborated with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service before the launch to issue a final programmatic environmental assessment for SpaceX Starship and Super Heavy spacecrafts. The assessment laid out measures that SpaceX was required to take before the launch to protect the environment. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit allege that FAA should have conducted a more in-depth investigation, specifically an environmental impact statement. This process is much longer than the assessment and can take the average of 3.4 years. The plaintiffs argue that an EIS would have provided a more comprehensive evaluation of the environmental impact of a launch and the steps necessary to mitigate any harm caused. The lawsuit raises questions sufficient to protect the environment and public health. With this, they asserted that the FAA violated federal law by allowing expanded operation at Musk's starbase without requiring the full EIS that is generally required for big projects. Permitting SpaceX to launch the largest rockets known to humankind is the type of significant federal action that requires full analysis. The document's authors wrote, according to a document, at least 8 rockets have burst on the location in the last 5 years. As a bold claim, the 31-page complaint aims to draw the FAA's license. Nevertheless, the FAA does not comment on ongoing lawsuits, but it's previously stated that SpaceX has completed all public safety and environmental requirements to proceed with the launch. After examining the events surrounding SpaceX's botched launch and the subsequent environmental concern raised, it is tough not to see Elon Musk and his team's claims of being environmentally friendly ironic. Yes, rocket launches will always have environmental implications because they need a lot of energy to launch and emit toxic emissions into the atmosphere. Plus, as seen in this launch, the potential for debris to pollute the ecosystem. One can help but feel irony in the midst of all of this, especially after reading the compelling lawsuit and the environmental themes that compelled the writers to create and file the document. Despite SpaceX's stellar track record in space exploration, this recent incident has raised legitimate concerns about the company's environmental impact. Given the magnitude of the damage, it is imperative that SpaceX takes immediate steps to address the situation and prevent such incidents from occurring in the future. It is clear that Elon Musk and his team have a responsibility to live up to their claims after being environmentally friendly, and the recent incident serves as a stark reminder of the importance of corporate responsibility in today's world. We definitely would love to hear your thoughts. This is Tech Genius at Work. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to be updated for more videos.